Kansas Helen here, and today we have Eli Woody, who is running for Kansas House District 31, which is in what area, Eli?
So it is Kansas City. The neighborhoods that are included are Rosedale and Argentine, but strictly Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay, so it's a solid Kansas City, Kansas. I haven't got to interview too many people like that. A lot of them have
Multiple.
multiple cities, multiple
Yes.
counties, multiple. And as someone who helps people with their campaigns that have the multiple, I envy you. I
Yeah.
mean, like canvassing, like I was looking at some of the Wichita ones that,
Yes.
or even the Topeka ones, like where I'm at in 55, I think is mine. And if they have to canvass, it's just no,
Yep.
you just go through the
On
neighborhood.
purpose. Remember.
Yes, I know on purpose. I know on purpose. I'm just saying, but some of them have to drive all over the county basically
Yeah.
to gather the 25,000 people they need into
Yes.
one area.
Yeah.
But then the city the city districts have such completely different needs, and then they're competing with the rural districts, which technically there are more of them, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the
Yeah.
battle that you see. I don't know a whole lot about Kansas City, Kansas, other than what I've read in the profiles and stuff. I haven't spent a whole lot of time there. So are you from the district?
I'm not. My wife and I moved here intentionally. My hometown is Topeka. My wife's hometown is Baldwin City. So we're both from Northeast Kansas. I have some historical roots in Wyandotte County, going back to my dad's side of the family, that his side of the family had some folks who lived in Wyandotte County, but we chose to live in Wyandotte County, and it's diverse. There's a lot of working class people. Everybody's genuine, down to earth, and that is something that both of us really value, that we want to be around people who are genuine and hardworking and will tell you that they'll give you a hand and you know that you'll do the same thing for them. So it's great. There's a lot of history here also. It's a really good place to be. It's, I think, underlooked often, especially certain parts of Wyandotte County, and hopefully we can change that.
Oh yeah, it's not just overlooked. It's absolutely just ignored and discredited
Yeah.
and actively talked smack about,
Yes.
as is Topeka. And so
Yeah.
when I didn't, I haven't, so I'm inclined to believe you because I never,
Yeah.
as someone that grew up in Topeka, I get that knows Topeka better than
Yeah.
I do. As someone who grew up in Wichita, moving to Topeka, two things. One, I'm shocked at how completely uninterested everyone is in politics here.
Yes.
And two, I feel like people just mind their business here in a way
Yeah.
that Wichita does not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah. Which ends up feeling like it's hard when you're trying to build community or something because nobody gets involved because they're all just minding their business. But when you come from a environment where everyone is all up in your business all the time, it's refreshing to have somewhere where everyone just minds their business. Because I think a lot of our problems could be solved if everyone would just mind their own business.
Yeah, there is something to be said about community building. We're in a really great spot where, so we have a toddler who's about to turn 3, and on both sides of us and on the other side of the street, there's about 4 houses who all have kids under 8. And so
Yeah.
we have this little pocket of young kids who get to play together, grow up together, and then also get to talk to other parents of young kids to talk about, we're going through potty training right now. Did you go through this? Or we're having really hard time with nap time. But then also just know that those things intersect with politics, even because if we have kids who are walking to the elementary school down the street, how are they getting there? Because right now they're walking on the street. There's no sidewalks in our neighborhood to and from the elementary school. So there are a lot of people who say they don't pay attention to politics, but everything's political. If you want a sidewalk to get to your kid's elementary school, that's political.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is just the way we have it set up now. That's the game we're playing, right? And
Yeah.
and the reality is that even if we wanted to completely change the system, that's not something you do overnight. And while I would like to see, I do understand the people that are upset because they're like, you guys just want incremental change. And I do think that the incremental changes we make need to be much bigger. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
shouldn't one side you have chipping away at our stuff, and then the other side is chipping away to get it back. But we need to do more than chip. We
Take
need
some
to release
steps.
chunks. I get we can't go in and just
Yes.
bulldoze the whole thing, but can we take some chunks out at a time and not chip, chip, chip,
Yes.
chip? Yeah, I just think that they're not keeping up with, as we're getting things removed. They weren't keeping up with adding them back. Long-term protections, right? It feels like everything that was ever fought for since the 60s has just been able to be undone. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel if you really want to make change, if you really want to make progress, those things have to be somehow solidified in a way that can't just so easily be taken away 40 years later.
Yeah. I think a lot of what it comes down to is whether we're talking about fighting for working class rights or whether we're talking about minorities and marginalized folks losing rights, the best way to protect and preserve those things is to elect more people who check those boxes. Because working class people have been waiting for forever for rich and privileged politicians to fight for them. And surprise, surprise, they're not. My half my family's black. Black folks have been waiting for forever for someone in politics to fight for them because there's not enough of us in office. Queer folks, who I also happen to be one of, have waited for more queer representation in politics, and the opposite is happening, and lots of bad things, to be very reductive. The only way to fight for all of those things is to elect more people who represent those categories. And that's what it comes down to is we need more regular people in politics, which it stinks that it's a time and money game, but it really is.
Yeah. I think that the for the people, by the people part has been changed, because by the people means the people in the state house are the people. And
Right.
now it's been changed to the by the people is us voting. That's your by the
Right.
people. But by the people is meant the people are supposed to be in those roles in that Capitol building, making decisions
Yes.
for the people.
Yes.
And so I think that has just been twisted. And who knows if what their original meaning was, but that's the meaning I always took from for
Yeah.
the people, by the people.
Yeah.
We should be being led by our people. And the majority of the United States are not multi-millionaire people, especially in
Correct.
Kansas.
And I'll come back to talking specifically about Wyandotte County for you. Wyandotte County is really diverse. And so it is important that the people who represent Wyandotte County are diverse. The representative who I am running to take his seat, this is House District 31. His name is Luis Ruiz. He's retiring after over 20 years of serving in the state house. He's a Latino man. There's a large Latino population in this district specifically. It's very diverse generally, but I'm the only person of color left in this race. And I think that's worth noting because if we want to see ourselves represented in the state house, we need people who are diverse to stick around, or
Right.
we need to keep our representation around in the state house.
Yeah, I mean, because even as a white woman, as open-minded and understanding and empathetic as I've always been to, people of color or whatever's happening to them, I understand, right? White
Yeah,
privilege and all those things. At the end of the day, I still learn all the time new horrors and
yeah,
new things that are just micro racism that I portray, that I'm doing or saying, that I had no
sure.
clue what I'm doing, because it's just how I've been, been raised or whatever, and it's just not knowledge that I've had. And so I'm constantly evolving and learning in that area. And then especially getting involved in the police shootings and all those things, and getting so heavily involved with a family that's going through it that are black. And I see it from the outside, the devastation and all these things, but just to have a firsthand view of how they're being treated, of their plight, of the reality of who DeAndre Hill was, it's just to have a front row seat to it, to be as close to it as I could be without actually being in the community that it was impacted by it, has been very eye-opening, right? And no,
Yes.
And as much as even now, I still could not fully understand and represent the community. Someone from the community needs to represent the community at the end of the day, because they're the only ones that truly understand. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. Totally understand.
Yeah. And no, I'm all for diversity. I'm all for representation in all sorts of things. In comedy, I focused on female comedians and trans comedians and queer comedians because they weren't getting the proper representation in the field, in the industry. And it's so important to have representation everywhere. I can't imagine how a little trans girl seeing Abby Boatman as a Kansas House rep in Kansas, seeing that helps her
Yes.
to see
Yes.
themselves up there and to know that there is somebody like them out there, not just fighting for them, but in the state house is got to be huge.
Absolutely.
So why, I guess you kind of answered it, but the canned question of why are you running?
I'm running to win is the bottom line. And when I win and get to the state house, I'm going to keep fighting for working class people and be loud and direct and continue a lot of the fight that the representative before me fought, because Lewis did a really great job of fighting for working class Kansans. The biggest thing that I want my constituents to know about me when I am their representative is being communicative and staying in touch with them doesn't stop after campaign season. I teach speech. I teach high school English, and I taught speech and debate for a long time. I teach public speaking now. And so I know how important communication is, and not just standing up and giving pretty speeches, but the importance of relationships with people. And that's why so far we've knocked on over 1,500 doors, because what representatives need to be doing is listening and then taking that message to the state house. And so when we are not in session, where I will be is back on people's porches, talking to them about here's what happened, here's how I voted, because these are the things that I heard from you. And I think that I did a pretty good job of representing your voice. You can tell me if you disagree and we'll talk about it. I and hopefully that conversation happens in more ways than just one. I want to send mail, be on social media, continue to be on social media, show up on people's porches, anywhere and everywhere, because I think right now, just in general, politicians don't communicate constantly to their constituents enough. I think people have a sense that they just see or hear from their politicians when it's election season.
If then, even.
If then even.
I've lived here in Topeka in two different districts for months at a time, and no one's ever contacted me. I've still never been contacted by either of the people running in this district in the primary. No one's knocked on our doors. And we're newly registered to this address. We weren't here the last time there was an election in this district, and no one's knocking on our doors. No one's coming to us. We've gotten no mail, nothing. We've got no political information. If I wasn't involved in politics, I would have no clue what was going on in this district or who my rep was even. So that's a problem.
I hope you feel free to say their names in this conversation. They know that they need to hear from you.
I know that my rep is Tobias.
Okay.
I cannot say his last name to save my life. My mouth.
Oh, it's Schlingensiepen.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah, went to school with his son.
You are a speech guy and an English guy, and your mouth probably works properly, but I think my tongue is too big for my mouth. It's too wide, and it just does not do certain sounds, and I just sound like an idiot. German. Yeah, I know, and I'm German, Riker. Yeah. But I feel like my last name used to be like longer, and at some point, thank goodness somebody just said nah, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, and so I don't really know a whole lot about him, and I don't really know a whole lot about the person that is primarying him. He's being primaried. Yeah. And I don't want to talk crap on him. I don't know the man, but I'm just saying he doesn't seem, the area I live in, my little neighborhood, just doesn't seem to be represented by him. Like you said, it's very diverse. It's the majority of us are renters. We are not just working class, we are poor. The people around me are generally pretty poor. We're not necessarily. It depends on who you ask who's poor and what's poor, right? There's
Yeah.
probably people of means that would consider us poor, but like poverty, right? We're not in
Yeah.
poverty, but there are people around here that are in poverty and they have kids that run around this neighborhood and play together. And I just don't feel like he's the best representation for a
Mm.
diverse community that lives in poverty. And
Sure.
the person that's running against him, all I know about her so far is that she's either a social worker or therapist or something in the mental health field,
Sure. Sure.
and that she's a Black woman.
Yeah.
Bonus. And so, really, if I never learned anything else about her, I would probably vote for her just based on this
Sure.
compared to the option that I have. And it's nothing against him personally. He's probably like everyone loves him. He's like, it's hard. I tried to critique something he did last year when he voted. The Satanic Grotto did a black mass at Topeka. I don't know if you heard about all that a year ago,
Yeah.
a year and a half ago in March last year. And it's about religious freedom. And I'm sure you understand what the protest was actually about, right? It wasn't actual people that believed in Satan and all this other stuff.
Right.
But they had a whole session and changed the rules to keep the grotto from being able to come in there and do their religious service the same way that Catholics and many other Christian faiths have been able to go in there, and Jewish people have been able to go in there and do their services. And he voted for it. He voted for the restrictions. And so did Governor Kelly. There were only 15 people in the House, Democrats, that didn't vote for it. And so I basically called out all the Democrats that weren't those people. And he was one of them. And he's a pastor. And so that tracks. But at the end of the day, it's about religious freedom and separation of church and state. And I need those things respected, regardless of your faith outside of that Capitol building. I don't even want to know what your faith is personally. I would love it if I just had no idea what your religious beliefs were, because it has no bearing on what you should be doing in that Capitol or why I should vote for you or not. That's my problem with the bias now that I've just put it all out there.
That's okay. You're a constituent. You can have whatever opinion about
I know
the people running for you want.
But I am also Kansas Helen, and I'm trying to kind of stay out of it a little bit. But I don't know. I would probably volunteer for her, and I'm not going to knock doors. I'm not that person. I wish I was. I really do. But I'm just not the door knocking, shaking hands, talking to people kind of person. And that's why I don't run for office.
Yeah, fair.
I can do this.
Fair.
I can talk to candidates.
You're doing your thing.
I can go to events, but like you said, 1,500 doors, 1,500 people like that.
Sweaty. I'm getting sweaty every day. It is not getting cooler outside.
Yeah, even outside of that, even if perfect weather and somebody was carting me around and I didn't have to walk, just
still a lot.
The talking and the human contact. But that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes to flip a seat. That's what it takes to win. And so if you're going to flip a seat, especially, you can't do it without that. You cannot by Facebook ads or just showing up to
or phone calls,
the meetings where all the rich people are, and getting a whole bunch of money and all that stuff. At the end of the day, you have to get those unaffiliated voters.
Yeah. It's a little bit different here because of how democratic the district is. It is very democratic, but people want to see you. And there are people who have been aware that there are other people running in this primary when I've been talking to them, but they've said, you're the only one who's knocked on my door like this that I've seen face to face, and that matters.
Yeah. So I haven't looked at your direct numbers, but I know a lot of districts in the state as a whole the unaffiliated voters are growing. So is yours kind of stayed solidly Democrat?
Solidly Democrat. Yeah. It hasn't really been close the past couple times that there's been a general election. There have been many elections in this district where there was no Republican candidate at all. But the past couple that there has been a Republican candidate, they lost by about 40 points. So it is very Democratic.
As far as your
very working
registration
class
goes, do you know if you're losing registered Democrats and gaining unaffiliateds?
That's a good question. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
I can look at your county level. I can't really, it would be a lot. I can't look at your precinct level, but I can look at Wyandotte
Yeah,
County and see.
yeah,
Because I just last night, I just started looking at all of that, right?
yeah,
Because I saw a trend this year. And so I went and looked back in 2025 and all these other things. And so I'm trying to gather the data to, for myself. This is what happens. I have a question in my head. I gather the data to answer the question. And then once I have all that data, I'm like, you know what? Other people probably have this question. So why don't I just put this out, the answer
yeah.
out to the world, right? And so that's kind of something I got just out of nowhere obsessed with last night instead of making the image for this interview. And yeah, so I'm trying to track the just the main three. I know there's libertarians and there's a couple others that have popped up, but I'm just trying to track Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated, because I have seen a trend in the data of the two districts I'm the campaign manager for. And so that makes me think, I know that the overall statewide data does show that Republicans were kind of gaining, and now they're declining a little bit, right? They're
Yeah.
declining. And then unaffiliateds have been boop, they were kind of like boop. And then
Interesting.
Democrats have just been like in
Mm,
Kansas. And so unaffiliated is growing faster now. Democrats have always been leaving and going to unaffiliated. This is my theory. The Democrats have kind of just steadily been going unaffiliated, right? And the reason unaffiliated is now getting a bump up is because you have Republicans leaving and going unaffiliated. Plus, the new people coming in, the young people, are unaffiliated. They're coming in, they're registering, they care, but they're unaffiliated.
yeah. I think the other thing to mention here is the number of people, number of Democrats specifically, who are moving out of the state.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're leaving.
Yeah. Because usually it's
I tried.
people who are marginalized folks. I have left and I came back.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
usually
even think
marginalized
about
folks who
that.
see laws impacting them and infringing upon their rights and leave to go to somewhere safer.
See, this is why it's important to talk about these things with other people and get their insights, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think about that. Just because
Yeah. I would say
I
that's
know
probably
10
the
people.
biggest.
I know 10 people
Yeah.
that left immediately by the end of the year when he got elected. I know another 10 people that left last year. And I know me and myself and my family are looking very closely at this election, the state elections, because if Ty Masterson wins governor, we're leaving. We can't live here with Ty Masterson as governor, a supermajority in the Senate, regardless of what the House does, plus MAGA, Trump, whoever wins in 2028. If we have them regardless till 2028. So there's at least 2 years. And I don't want to live here until something changes. I'm going to have to, I can't get that far. So it's pick a lesser of the evil around us, right? Colorado's too expensive. I kind of like Des Moines. That's probably where I'd go because Iowa, regardless of them being still conservative, Des Moines and Iowa overall is still pretty solid purple. So at least there's something up there. It's at least a little better. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri would be an option, but Missouri's not any better. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, we are seriously contemplating if things don't go right in November, we're going to have to leave the state just because we're all different kinds of things from the marginalized community. All of us are
Yeah.
mental. My husband's schizophrenic and I'm queer and in so many ways, and so are my children, and my grandchildren are both autistic, and
Yeah.
we got to flee the state. And so I
Yeah.
imagine there'll be even more loss of Democrats if that happens too. I
Yeah.
can't be the only one, you know.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
And so that's another reason why I'm doing this is because just how important this year in particular is. If you've never paid attention to state politics in Kansas before, this is a very important year to pay attention to the
Yeah.
primary for the amendment, if nothing else.
Yes.
And there was some misinformation about unaffiliated voters and the amendment. And so they can vote on it. That's what I'm trying to get out to people. I don't care if you're in a party, if you just go vote on the one thing and leave. I don't care if you even vote in November, but you have to go vote on this one thing. Like if you've
Yeah.
given up on voting, fine, but go vote on this one thing. It matters. Your vote is a vote. It's one for one. Just go vote on it.
Yes. Could not agree more.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I go back and forth between being very hopeful and very scared.
Yeah. I'm fired up either way, so we will see whether I'm going to be fired up and yelling at a supermajority or fired up and yelling at a majority. and then we'll see who the governor is.
I
So
feel
a
pretty
lot of things
confident.
up in the air.
I feel pretty confident that the House supermajority can be broken
Yeah,
this
I
session.
agree.
You have 103 districts that are contested now, and yeah, and there's even several that aren't being contested, but they do have what I will call reasonable Republicans. I don't know what people want to label everybody, but they're not the kind of Republicans we have now. Also primarying them to get them out, and so I feel like there is, at least for the Kansas House, it's going to be inevitable that there is a little more balance in it after November.
Yeah. I think for those of us who are really embedded in politics, we know about the supermajority and we talk about it a lot. I've run for office before when we lived in a different part of Kansas City. And then my wife and I got lucky and got some grandparents' help and were able to buy a house. And so we're in this part of town that we're in right now. But one of the biggest things that I learned when I ran the first time was the number of people who don't really know what the supermajority is and why it's a big deal. And so I think as candidates, as people who are involved in politics, we need to figure out a way to talk about it in a simple, short way that makes sense for people to digest, that everyone can agree that politics in the state house is not working, and even politics broadly is not working because parties aren't talking to each other. There are two parties largely right now, whatever you think about that, we'll set that aside, but they are not debating. There's no discourse happening. If there's a party that has control, they are doing whatever they want and they don't care what the other side is doing because they have the numbers to do whatever they want. And people hate that. And the reason why that's exactly what's happening in the state house. And the only way to fix it is to get rid of some Republicans who are committed to not listening and committed to not working back and forth to even have a debate. And so that's why flipping some seats is really important.
Yeah, it's because they're not in there for the right reasons. They're in there
They don't they don't
because
they don't have to work back and forth
mm,
with Democrats because they have the numbers in the state house, which is a bummer, kind of a huge
really,
bummer.
at the end of the day, if I were a rep, I would not care what my party says. And I would not,
Right.
at the end of the day, I would go talk to my constituents
Yes.
and get a consensus of how they feel. And you obviously can't please everyone all of the time, but I also have a very strong set of beliefs and morals that are already set. And so that's going to get brought into these debates about things. And so I'm going to vote along those lines, which I already made clear when they elected me. That's why they elected me, is because of my
Yes.
stances and morals and things. And I'm not going to bend on those. And if for some reason I do, because I am free for new information to come into me, if I go start talking to my constituents about a stance, right? Say Cindy Holscher is a good example because she originally was just about medical marijuana. And as she ran her campaign and as she went out and talked to more people and talked to more people and talked to more people and got educated on recreational marijuana and got educated about the things, she's now said, you know what? Yes, we do need both. And people see that as a flip flopping. People see that as her trying to cater now to get votes instead of her taking a stance. If she was like, no weed, that would be different. She was already halfway there. She just needed the information and the people to go out and talk to the people about how they feel and for them to tell her how they feel because she doesn't know. She doesn't use marijuana. She's not involved in it. She can definitely see the benefits of medical marijuana. And maybe she just doesn't see all the benefits of the rec. And so she went out, she talked to people, and they made her
Yes.
go, you know what? You're right. And that's a good thing. That's what
Yes.
we
Should happen
want.
more. It should happen more.
Yes. And so I just see it as one more reason to support her. Not, it wasn't like she was out here railing against recreational by any means. She just wasn't supporting it. And now
Yeah.
she is. That's
Yeah.
great. Let's celebrate that instead of trying to say that she's now just saying whatever she can say to get elected.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the thing is too, when you have a history to look at of what they've done and what they've said, you can see that's not the pattern that's been set already, right? Back to the thing about explaining to people about the supermajority.
Yeah.
Here's where I have gotten people, granted, I don't knock doors, but I feel like it would shut them down in person too. I say, look, if they could pass this, if we just talk about this last session, if they could pass those trans bills, they could pass anything they wanted. Because if there was any way that those could have been stopped, they would have been. They passed some of the, I think it was the worst at the time, bathroom bill in the country. If we could have stopped it, we would have. If the Democrats could have stopped it, they would have. So that's all the proof you need that they could have passed anything regarding property tax that they possibly wanted, but they allowed a veto to stand so that they could campaign on it. Because take back Kansas from who? It's not working. Right. The people that are Republicans, people that are unaffiliated are going, take that Kansas from who? So
yeah,
we'll see. I don't think it's
I think when you're talking to Republicans and unaffiliated people, because obviously Democrats are going to be sympathetic and empathetic for trans folks having rights infringed upon. But when you're talking to Republican and unaffiliated people, I think the questions that we need to be asking are, do you see your representatives fighting to make your prescriptions more affordable? Do you see your representatives fighting to make your property taxes more affordable? Because those things are out of control. And especially if you're on a fixed income, those things are going up. And what's not going up is your income. And so you've had the past few sessions to give your Republican representative the chance to help fight to make your prescriptions more affordable. Have they done it? No. Here's what they have wasted their time on. They're not fighting for you. And the reason why they're not fighting for you is because they don't have to, because they have a supermajority. And the only way they will ever be forced to have a conversation about why your insulin is out of control or why your asthma medication is out of control is if they don't have a supermajority in them anymore and they have to talk back and forth to the other side. Because that's where we need to speak to, is people's direct pain of how expensive healthcare is and how expensive housing is.
Yeah, the Senate has had a supermajority for the most part since 1992. I have all the data. It's a lot since 92 to put out to show and very clearly break out. I have a whole series that I'm making, but it's just so time consuming and a lot of data and a lot of information. And I'm really good at gathering it all and putting it together, but then making all the little pie charts and stuff is where I lose interest. My audio brain's meh. And so I'm getting it together as I can stand it, which would really be great if I had someone that could help me, and that'd be amazing. I've been asking for help, but it's fine. I'll get it done eventually, but it's going to clearly show. It really just needs to be done before November. It's going to clearly show in pie charts the power structure of every single year since 1992. And then it's going to show what the major things they did in those years are with that power. And it's just going to be facts. That's all it is. I'm not going to put opinion. It's just, here's who was in power. Here's what they did with it.
Yeah.
Since 1992, because I want a long set of data that can't be argued with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like, that's as far back as I could easily obtain the data. So that's as far back as I went. That's what I do. I go back as far as I can easily obtain data that matches with data. And then that's the period that I go with. And it's 92. It's, yeah. The thing is, if you don't like how things are in Kansas, how on earth is it anyone's fault but the Republican Party we have here?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's baffling to me how I think it's, like I said, though, I really truly feel like it's not working. Just based on, I'm not knocking doors, but I'm talking to a lot of you people who are knocking doors, Republican and Democrat alike, right? I'm talking to campaign managers and volunteers that are volunteering for candidates and stuff at these events. That's who I like to talk to, not the candidates themselves. When I go to the event, I love talking to the staff and what they're doing, what they're learning, and all these things. And there is a shift. They're not buying it anymore. And the data so far is showing that as far as registrations go. That's what Republican registration is doing. And unaffiliates going up, which makes sense, honestly. And so I think they are tired of it. I think that I have had conversations online with people that say, yeah, I'm a Republican and I agree with them about trans people, but it's not a problem in our state. It's not, and we need to worry about that later, basically. Let's get me where I can eat and pay and afford my property taxes, and then we can attack trans people, which I don't love, but I think
but
that They'll
even
forget about
even
all of that if we do
yeah,
that. You know what I'm saying? They'll let it go.
even these Republicans aren't struggling to pay for groceries. They're not struggling to pay their property taxes.
The
They're
reps?
not, yeah,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah. Say
largely don't come
constituents
from
are.
that. No, the Republican representatives don't come from that background, at least coming into the state house. So of course they're not fighting for working class people.
Or they're pretending that they don't. Because I know that in District 81, the current Republican rep there is not does not come from money and in class and it does not have money and lived in an apartment up until a couple years ago and now lives in a duplex. I'm not sure if he owns or rents,
Sure.
but that he does not he entered this race living in a rental apartment. That's not money. That's not coming with a family of four. That's he does not come from money, but he wants everyone to think he does, and he's trying to I feel bad for him. Honestly, I pity him that he has to live this lie every day, pretending that he is something that he is not, because he is working class.
Yep.
He is, and he thinks that by the I don't want to say him, I'm not in his head, but my experience with people that are doing that think that they're going to fake it till they make it, basically.
Yep.
And it's got to be stressful to finally to have to pretend constantly that you are somebody you're not.
Evergreen message
Yeah. Be
for a lot of different reasons.
yeah, just be truthful, Carpenter. Christian, come on. We all know you aren't made of money. We can tell. We see where you live.
Yep.
And not that he needs to be made of money. That's the point, though, right? Is that it's just
Correct.
trying to keep up with the Joneses and all that stuff. It's a rat race that's you're never going to keep up with, because as you try to keep up, you are then digging your own hole to keep you down. So yeah, I do think the key is to get more regular everyday people in there that are fighting for regular everyday people, right? Because he could go out there and say, look, I live in a duplex. I'm an everyday person. I live in your community. But he's not his votes and what he's doing in Topeka. It's like he's not the same person in Topeka that he is when he's at home.
Yeah. Because again, they have so many Republican seats that if you don't vote along with the rest of them, they're so petty. They punish each other and will remove parking passes from Republicans who don't vote in line with the party.
And the Democrats don't do things like that.
I've not heard of that happening.
They don't threaten. I don't think they would, or that one guy wouldn't have made that amendment about when they were trying to give the one that gave child support, that made child support have to be paid for fetuses or whatever.
Oh,
He made
interesting.
yeah, and Schmidt, I think he's running for something now. I think he's trying to run for governor, or not governor, marshal.
Senate.
I can't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I was just trying to make something good out of it. And they're like, no, they're trying to give personhood to fetuses. But I don't think he was punished for it in any way. Everyone just said, what? But no, it's like nobody tried to threaten to primary him. Nobody censured him. Nobody did anything to him for it. They just went.
Correct.
And I feel like that's pretty good evidence that the Democrats aren't forcing people to, one, put everything through them before they put through an amendment, because I guarantee you that's what the Republicans do. A Republican rep, whether in the Senate especially or the House, isn't putting in an amendment like that without it being strategically planned for them to do. And I think that was just really good proof that it's not the same on the other side.
Yeah. Agree.
But yeah, and I think that, like I said, I think we just need balance. I'm not out here advocating that the Democrats come and take over and get the supermajority, and we're going to show them we're going to get the supermajority, and we're going to tell you what to do all the time, right? Because that's not the right answer either. Because we are purple, honestly, because 44% are Republicans, and then 40% are on. They're on not 40%, that's one district, but then there's a good chunk that are unaffiliated, and then there's a good chunk that are Democrats. That does not make us a red state.
Correct.
We are pretty solidly purple now. And so our Topeka needs to be purple.
Yeah.
If you truly is going to represent it. It needs to be purple and brown and what's Jesus loves the little children, all those colors. That's what it needs to be because that's Kansas, right?
Yeah.
Kansas has
Yeah,
all
I
of it.
agree.
We have a large Asian population
Yeah.
in certain areas, and there's no representation for them in the state house. And
Some,
so
not enough.
there could be one. Oh, there is one. I do
There
know
is.
him.
Yeah.
There is. Yes. One's still not enough though. It's still
No.
just less than 1% of 125. And they're
Yeah.
like 5%
Not
of our
great.
population, right? So if they're
Yeah.
5% of our population, we need at least one more in the state
Yeah.
house. Actually,
Yeah.
way more than one. I would have to now I want to break that down. Now I want to break down what the state house would look like if it was broke along racial lines. How many reps would there be of each?
That's a good one.
I do want to do that now. It's a good idea. So let's just wrap it up here. I love that I haven't had really gotten into a lot of questions and just get to have a conversation. That happens sometimes. And then sometimes it helps to have questions following along. It just depends on the rep and their
Yeah.
experience. But speech, you have speech. Have you ever talked to Mark Shokowitz out in 110?
No.
You guys should
Maybe.
somehow
Yeah.
talk.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
He's done speech and debate, and you can
Yes.
tell.
Yes.
One thing I know about them is you're very good at active listening. And while you're kind of listening to respond, it's not to respond with whatever it is you were already thinking. You're not waiting to say whatever it is you wanted to say. You are actively listening to what I'm saying, processing it, and then using it to update
Yes.
your debate on the
Yes.
spot. And that's something that is vital to have because that means you're actively listening. You've been trained.
Yeah.
You actively listen.
It's a great skill. More people should do speech and debate.
They should. I suck at it. I suck at public speaking other than stand up. I can do stand up, no problem, no nerves. But
Yeah.
if you get me up there and I can't be funny and I can't cuss and I have to be serious and professional for 10 minutes, I'm just sweating. Yeah, I don't like it. If I can just get up there and riff and be whoever, say what I want to say and don't have to think about it too hard, I'm fine. But if I have to police my speech,
Yeah.
it's so hard that I just shut down
Yes.
and start sweating. But I'm getting better at it. Just from sheer force, I have to keep doing it. I just went and talked in front of the city council in Wichita, and I've done it a couple times. And the first time was impromptu, but God, it's nerve-wracking. I mean, they're just regular people, but they're up there. And you're on camera. And yeah, it's very nerve-wracking. And then the last time I did it, I just read my speech and stuck to it. But I didn't say not nice things to them, but I called them out and I told them exactly how I felt. And I told them that they'd been weighed, measured, and found wanting. And so, but yeah, it wasn't like it was easy to do, or I went in there and I was up there with no nerves, all calm and relaxed.
Yeah. The more you do it.
It's not something I want to do on a regular basis. I can tell you that. I give it up to those who do. There are people that are just once a month in there as often as they can because they don't let you do it every week. They are in there talking to city council about something, and bless them.
Good.
Bless all of you who are running. I really do. Just so you know, I do understand the sacrifice of running, of campaigning, of being a rep, of how it is it is consuming your entire life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, are you still working full-time and campaigning, or?
I'm off for the summer.
Oh,
getting
you're
a break as a teacher.
Yeah.
Getting my time back basically because of all the time that we spend outside of class.
Yeah, I did the math.
Yeah.
I did the math, and if a teacher's working 50 hours a week, that's a low
summer
bar.
is time back.
Yes, and you average 50 hours a week for let's say 9 months, because you get Christmas and Thanksgiving. Because somebody was complaining on TikTok about how it's a part-time job, and then you factor all that in, you're still working 40 hours a week. And I know that the majority of them definitely were more than 50, and that you're not out of school all the time. The kids are out of school, even in the summer. There's a couple weeks after, a couple weeks before where you're back. You get 6 weeks really in the summer, if that. And then I know a lot of teachers that then go get a second job during that time, or they work part-time during the school year and then up their hours in their breaks. So that's how they get to spend their break. So they never get a break.
Yeah.
and they're still broke. And it's insane to me that the people in the legislature get the same, almost the same starting salary now, probably for as a Kansas teacher.
Yeah.
It's insanity. Plus $168 a day. You will actually probably make more money. Almost. I don't know how long you've been teaching or how long you've been in there, but definitely more money than an entry level teacher.
It'll be about the same as where
Yeah,
I'm at. I have a master's degree and
that's
a lot of
insane.
experience, but yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It should be a pay cut, honestly.
Yeah. It should,
It should,
considering it's part-time.
considering it's part time, especially the way they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not doing what you're planning to do. So you actually will be doing the job full time, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been a teacher, it actually will be less work, honestly.
It will.
I just thought about that. Being the rep of a $25,000 or 25,000 people area is going to be less work than being a full-time teacher of 9 classes
Yeah.
or 7. I don't know how many
I
classes, 6 classes.
I will get 7. I will get 7 periods, but I teach 5 of them. I will plan on continuing to teach and then just take a leave in the spring. So I'll teach
Okay.
in the fall semester and then legislate in the spring
Yeah, because
because I think it's important to have teachers in the state house.
there's time for that too. You can
Yeah.
go have weekly constituent meetings and do all those things
Yeah.
while still teaching. That's great because I don't know if people
Yeah.
do that.
Now, I don't know if there is an active high school teacher in the state house right now. I think no.
Even whatever it is they were doing for work before, right?
Yeah.
Unless they own a business or have not a real job where they just get money like Ty Masterson. Yeah, I don't think a lot of them own their own businesses outside, or they have more flexible jobs where they work remote or something like that. But I definitely don't think there's any current teachers in the
Yeah.
legislature that are continuing to teach. There's a lot of retired
Yeah.
teachers,
There's a couple professors, but I don't know about high school
high
teachers.
school teachers or public school
Yeah.
teachers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've seen retired teachers because people start their political careers at 60 for some reason.
Yeah.
But it's so if you've retired from teaching and then you haven't taught for 10 years, you're behind because
You are.
it's changed. Yeah.
Yep.
So you'd be able to just go right in there and you know exactly, you know what I'm saying? You're still involved. That's the thing. You
Yes.
got to still be involved. That's great. Good luck to that though. Oof.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think but like I said though, it really is the 3 months in legislature. Oh, sometimes they have to go in at 8 a.m. and they got to start at 8 a.m. and then they don't get done till 10. You don't think teachers' days do that all the
Right.
time? So yeah, no, that's another thing I've just never thought about how the workload, or you have to keep up with parents.
Yes.
And so you have 5 classes each semester. How many students?
About 30 each class.
30, which is insane.
Yeah.
So that's 150 kids each semester with probably at least 2 adults, hopefully, in their lives. That's 300 adults each semester. So that's 600. And then times how many years? And wow, yeah. Yeah. So you're prepared. You're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready.
I agree. I think public education, what better to prepare me for working in one broken system than working in another broken system?
Yeah. Also negotiating and talking with people that you can't just push your will on because parents won't do
Correct.
that. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You can't just tell a parent what's going to happen with their kid. They have opinions
Yeah.
and you have to.
I already have constituents, is what I say. I'll tell people this as a nice little tap on the end. I'm Eli Woody. I'm running for Kansas House District 31, which is in KCK. The neighborhoods are Rosedale and Argentine. You can learn more at woodyforkansas.com, or you will see me on your porch because I'm knocking on doors. You don't have to be in this district to help support this campaign. I hate that this is a money game, but it is until we change it. But donating a little bit helps pay for literature or thank you cards like these that I'm writing for people who have donated, or for yard signs. But it takes money to run a campaign and communicate back and forth with voters. So $5 or $10 or whatever amount is super helpful. It's in the profile of every social media that we are on at Woody for Kansas. So would greatly appreciate anybody who cares about electing more working class people help pitch in a little bit and we'll make it happen.
I really do hope you do well, and I'll be watching and biting my nails in August. And when or if you win, I would love to interview you again at some point before the
Absolutely.
general and see how things are going after the primary.
For sure. Can't wait.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
doing it.
I will. I'm gonna, whether I like it or
Okay.
not.
Have a good